my identity was attached to this persona, this thing attached to the major label system. And now I had to, I think, venture away from that. And I got into what it is that I fell in love with that brought me here in this stage. I retreated back to that little girl that would sing, that would dance around the house, that wanted to bring joy to, the family members that would come over, but expanding my purpose on this earth in this blink of an eye time.
Good. Are we comfy?
Yes.
Amazing. Well, today we're sitting down with the iconic singer, songwriter, dancer, record producer, and actress, Maya. Hey, Maya.
Hey.
Welcome to RoyalTeas.
Thank you so much. I love the setup, by the way.
First order of business, before we get started, we're going to pick out your tea flavor. So I'm just going to grab our rack of tea over here. So we've got a lot of different options on here. Feel free to take a spin.
I've never seen this one before.
Okay, let's do it. Elderberry. So Maya, as we set up our tea, the first thing I want to ask you about actually is if your sound was like a tea flavor or a tea blend, what do you think it would be?
Well, I'd say a little spicy, so ginger, and lavender, a little smooth.
Okay, like a ginger, lavender, the spicy,
Combo.
smooth combo.
Yeah.
Are you like a normal tea drinker? Is tea part of your daily routine?
Yes.
Okay.
Even before I go on stage,
Yeah.
in my tech rider, hospitality rider, I just put it everywhere. Every single rider. VIP riders for after parties.
Rider. Gotta have the tea in the after party, also essential.
Yes.
What tea do you drink before you go on stage for your voice?
Throat coat.
Naturally.
Slippery elm. Coats the throat. Great for after long flights.
Yeah. Starting off, from the very beginning, you've been immersed in music and dance and performance. At that time, at the very beginning of when you first got into all of these things, what was your idea of success and what did that vision look like?
Well, I was very young when I started. And so I don't think I was thinking of the word success or even fathomed what that could be for me. It was about pleasing my parents, obviously.
Yeah.
And I had very, very encouraging but strict teachers during that era. So it was about impressing them in perfection.
Yeah.
In the arts, as a child of the arts. And I think later on, I evolved into, first of all, finding myself and what my own voice is, and I think identifying the why.
Right.
Why is it that I'm doing this? And it always leads back to people and making a difference, whether it's inspiring, bringing joy, striking an emotional chord.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the power to bring people together.
Very special.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much of that do you feel like is like an external thing you experience from the reactions of people around you versus like an internal feeling of like, I feel validated and I feel successful?
Well, I define success a little differently than I think I was taught in society because I think coming from obviously the major label system and also the world as a child of dance competitions where you're always being judged or criticized, and it's based on so many different things, whether it's a costume or aesthetics and maybe your smile or your personality versus skill sets. I now define success with whatever resonates with my spirit and how I'm impacting others' lives. And that doesn't always have to mean career-based. Am I a good person? Am I walking with integrity? Am I having fun?
Very important.
Do I enjoy what I'm doing? Or am I just going through the motions? And what's my intention? And is that intention good?
Yeah.
So I measure success by walking that path as much as possible in this world and hopefully making a difference for someone else. Yeah.
Very, very beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful perspective. I really love that. Captivating audience since childhood, again, like doing this for your whole life. What's been a constant thread since your first introduction to performance, like an aspect of it that's always been present for you?
There's something that happens when you step into new territory and learn a skill set, but then begin to perfect that craft and then begin meeting some of the people that inspired you.
Yeah.
And shaking hands with them or having dinner with them and conversations. And that has always been a dream as a tap dancer, to meet a Gregory Hines or a Jimmy Slide or a Nicholas Brother and then actually be in a workshop with them or on stage with them. Things like that have happened so many times, so that childlike state has always been a common thread. There's always wonder, there's always fascination. I'm always a fangirl of someone because I'm so fascinated by artists, comedians, musicians. That's the common thread through my adulthood.
Yeah. What's been the most recent like interaction or meeting with someone you've had where you felt that sense of like, oh my God, that childlike wonder?
I cried. And his last name is Wonder.
Oh my God.
I cried like a baby in joy and reflection too, because that was literally the soundtrack of my living room, but also my dad, his voice and all the songs that he would sing to my mother or to me in my childhood. And that is Stevie Wonder, who I got the pleasure of sitting down with at his station in LA, KJLH, and also seeing him live for the very first time in my lifetime in Birmingham, UK, when I was out there doing a show. So that was one of the icings on the cake.
That's unbelievable. What was like your favorite song you saw him perform during that performance?
So there's a song that's actually my mom's favorite song. It's called My Sherry Amore. And I just know off of the way my dad sings that song, and he can whistle very well, they probably fell in love and made me with that song.
Hey, right. So that song, in a way, was the inception of your life.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think so, because when I sent her a picture of Stevie and I at his station, she immediately, chimed in. My mom takes a little while to get back to me on text messages, but this time it was immediate. And she says, oh, tell him my favorite song is My Sherry Amore. And then she had 3 more songs for me to relay. So.
Yeah.
So when I heard that song, it transported me back to my childhood and all the meanings of my existence. But I was also able to let him know as a little girl that I used to literally look for a physical ribbon in the sky. And he explained the meaning of that ribbon when he was writing that song. And it was basically a sealing of a gift with a bow between 2 people and sharing their loves, because love is an actual gift. So
shout out to Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, iconic. Growing up with a father in the industry, what were your first impressions of the music business? Like, what was your first time really having an idea of what the music business was?
Well, I didn't see paperwork or contracts or anything, but I did see my mom doing all of the accounting, which she does for me today. But I also saw my dad work several jobs to invest in his independent operation, and that consisted of funding his rehearsals, investing in his shows, recording in the studio, pressing vinyl, taking it to radio stations locally, getting it played.
Wow.
Like, he was always working. There were neighbors complaining all the time because the band was over rehearsing, when we were in a little 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
And they would come over and jam. And then when we eventually moved to a house, the neighbors would complain about, the sound coming from our garage. So that was the behind the scenes aspect of what I witnessed. I didn't necessarily know so much about business, luckily.
At what point were you exposed to the business aspect? What's your first memory of that?
My first memory of the business aspect was when I was about 16 years old as a recording artist, coming home after school one day being asked to sing for the independent label University Music Entertainment that was located in Washington, D.C. They auditioned me, and they began investing in me a year later to record demos. I was still in high school, but there were, I would say, trails of paperwork that I couldn't necessarily sign until I was 18.
Right.
So my parents would have to sign because I was technically a minor. So that was.
And during that time, what did the conversations with your family sound like? Like, what were they talking to you about in relation to the deals, and like what lessons stuck with you from that era?
So my mother, she's a very hands-on woman, and she reads a lot of books. I remember her having about 3 Donald Passman books, everything you need to know about the music business.
A classic.
And really reading it from top to bottom, but also the engagement of a lawyer on retainer to look over the paperwork to make sure that we're not rushing into anything specifically and understanding what all of the verbiage means. So I remember those days.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure she saw so many things firsthand with my dad's business because he's a recording artist as well. But he was always independent, self-operated.
Moving forward, you signed with University Music and distributed through Interscope at a time when R&B wasn't really their focus, which was, kind of a bold move. So tell me more about that relationship.
Yes, so those demos that I recorded with the independent label in Washington, D.C. were pitched to many different major labels. Some said no, some were interested. I took a meeting with Interscope when I was about 17. I sang for them, tap danced for them, and they heard those demos and were really interested. And my mom and I flew to California to meet with them. And they were a rap and rock label at the time and didn't have an R&B department. And so this was their first experiment. And hey, if an opportunity knocks, I go for it. That was my mentality. And I'd been doing the work and the performances and being a leader as a dance teacher for so long that I had experience under my belt. And I knew I had what it took discipline-wise to grow, to learn, to be humble, and succeed if given the opportunity.
Yeah.
So I went for it.
Went for it. What did that partnership teach you specifically about leverage and positioning?
Leverage and positioning, well, sometimes unfamiliar territory or the road less traveled may be the best road.
Yeah.
It may be uncomfortable at first, being a test dummy or doing something that's not traditional. I'd been in college for my first or second semester and I had to make a very critical decision on whether or not I was going to go the traditional expected route, which would probably be a little safer and guarantee, some consistency, or step into this thing we call entertainment that has absolutely no consistency. That's the only thing that's consistent about it.
Right.
Inconsistency. So I went with what my gut and I would say spirit resided with, and that was just going for it because I really, truly loved music. I fell in love with music when I was a kid.
Do you look back on that decision and you what would you say to your younger self making that decision to step away from school and really go in and focus on music?
It's a wonderful thing that my parents have always been independent thinkers. And I think having a father that's always going for it, who's still on the road, and a mother that's also very artistic, who's made my clothes for years, made her own clothes, has been a seamstress, an artist, a painter, and so many other things, self-taught, independent thinkers. If I didn't have the parents that I had that thought the way they thought, I may not have that resonance in me. So I really owe it to how they raised me and how they conditioned me to go for it in the arts. And my message to my younger self is give it a shot.
Yeah.
Face fear head on. That's where you will find the magic.
Let's talk about Lady Marmalade for a moment because that is just one of your super iconic hits. It has such a long lifetime. From a business perspective, how do classics like that continue to support you?
Oh, wow. Well, let's talk about Halloween.
Let's.
It's a fun thing that happens every year that I see all over social media that I didn't necessarily get to see before social media. All of the engagement and the parties and the gatherings and the costumes. So that's really fun in group settings to see. As far as on the road, it's just another hit before a hit is what I call it, that adds to the catalog, that really gets the crowd going, all genres. First of all generations. And the way we arrange it has a little bit of rock and roll in it, and you can really just expand on the musicality of that. But it brings the theater to your show, live show experience, and I really love that with props, etc. So it adds on to, I think, a part of my theater background and what I love to do on stage. And hey, there's no complaints from me. The more the merrier.
I'm also a theater kid, and we love the drama. And when that song came together, when it originated, did you have any idea that it would become such a major cultural moment?
You never know in this business what's going to happen. You go with the flow, you know, get in the studio. Hey, but there are a lot of behind the scenes people that make a lot of things happen, marketing, soundtrack budgets, other teams, management, publicists. There's so much that goes on to make something have a long life or even a short-term life. So it's not just about the front runners,
Right.
or just the artists, but our global teams and the marketing space, et cetera. But it was also a wonderful, I would say, homage piece to Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, who did this way before we could touch it,
Right.
And we just made our new rendition of it, and it still lives on. I would love to see a new version.
In 2007, you started your own independent label, Planet Nine. What have been the benefits of going down this path for you?
Well, yes. So in 2007, I decided to go independent, and I went on a spiritual journey of studying outer space, separating myself from the major label system and getting into me, but also putting everything into perspective to undo a lot of my thinking. My identity was attached to this persona, this thing attached to the major label system. And now I had to, I think, venture away from that. And I got into what it is that I fell in love with that brought me here in this stage. And I retreated back to that little girl that would sing, that would dance around the house, that wanted to bring joy to, the family members that would come over, but expanding my purpose on this earth and this blink of an eye time. And that's where, when studying outer space, Planet Nine was born. Understanding that I had to make my own rules, my law, as well as work on my own timeline, and make music from the purest place. And nothing else. Nothing else mattered, not numbers, not anything, but artistry, and knowing that I could step back to take 10 steps forward while facing a lot of maybe criticism because of not being as popular or as quote unquote famous, which is also attached to the perception of success. So a lot of unpacking and unlearning and recalibrating and reprogramming my brain. That's the first, I think, benefit that has occurred, this spiritual journey, to really know who I am without the things, that I think we're taught to have or to rely on or to lean on. Anything can change for all of us at the blink of an eye. And so it's finding self first, and then working from that place has birthed the most amazing music.
100%.
From my label, and project after project after project, I haven't stopped, and literally the best is yet to come. So I think one of the top benefits is obviously knowing who you are, having the time to figure that out, and then two, that creative freedom, because there are no more ceilings, there are no more boxes, and you literally have that child in a playground all over again, and you're back to that source of joy and new purpose.
Is there anything that you wish more people understood about you as an artist?
I'm all over the place, and I love it.
Yeah, she's everywhere.
I do want those that think I have quit or stopped music because, I'm not with a major label system, to just check out the archive. There's 9 independent projects released since 2007 with 10, 11, 12 already recorded and unreleased.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so much more on the way. I hope that I have inspired those that may have questions about where they are in life to just never give up. Just to keep going and do what you love. And obviously, do the work, live within your means, because you, as an artist or whatever it is that you'd like to do as an entrepreneur, your constant investment. It's an investment.
Oh, yeah.
So I am the girl that never quit or gave up on herself, and I found a way. Yeah.
If your legacy could be described in one word, what would that be?
Inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last question I want to ask to wrap up today is, if you could write one inspirational message on a tea bag, what would you have that be?
Well, it is something that I learned from a tribe in Africa, and I don't hear it enough, so it was a blessing to me that I would share with everyone. And that quote would be, just to be you. Being you is enough. That's simple.
Yeah.
And to expand on that, not a title, not an accolade, not an accomplishment, not an award, not a number, not a degree, just you, your existence is good enough.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yep. Oh my gosh. Well, Maya, thank you so much for joining us on Royalties today. Would you like to do a little cheers to end it off? Let's do a tea cheers.
Cheers!
Cheers! Yay! Yay. Thank you so much, Maya.
I think we did it correctly. I think you're supposed to cheers by looking at the person.
Yeah. I
think we did it correctly.
Yeah. Amazing. And this tea is so good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Yay!
Nice.